I am with Laura's Cheesecake, and I know a lot of you just from the different events that we've done, but what I'd like to start real quickly is if we can just go around the room and if you'd introduce yourself to everyone and let them know what restaurant you're associated with, that would be awesome. So we're going to start with the infamous Bill Dixon.
All right, Bill, I'm with Herschel's Restaurants.
For how many years?
A long time.
Yeah.
I think the total of it's like 18.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I'm Terry Bowers. I'm from Dairy Queen. I'm new. Going on 3 years. You're here Mount Pleasant, right? Mount Pleasant, yes.
Cody Russell, Dairy Queen as well. I've got all the Dairy Queens.
I know.
I'm Richard. Everybody I think knows me.
Oh.
We've got a group of restaurants, yes.
Cheryl Thomas, Herschel's Mount Pleasant, 41 years.
Oh, wow.
You're all right.
I know.
Not much.
Not much.
Tim Holiday, Logan Price. Jose Martinez at Laura's Cheesecake Cafe.
There you go.
Tammy Bell, and I am Richard's administrative assistant.
Okay.
Bessie Gonzalez, and I'm the
Betsy.
Chris Pearson with Laura's Cheesecake for 2 years, over 2 years.
Yeah. Is it? Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Time flies.
I'm Brittany. I'm currently with the Cove, and I'm also helping out with Metro City Steakhouse.
I'm Brandon Rodriguez. I'm part of Rich Brand Restaurants. We've got the new place, the steakhouse, Joe Jackson Burgers and Fries.
Okay. There you go.
No underspring pickle.
Sharon Tomlin, I'm from Herschel's Henderson, about a little over 2.5 years.
I'm Melinda. I'm the marketing director for all the restaurants.
Okay. There we go.
I'm Carla from Joe Jack's, about 3.5 years.
I'm Mitchell Walker. I'm ready to see that
Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, I know that there's a lot of different reactions to gatherings like this when you get the email and it's a mandatory meeting and everyone needs to be there, and there's all kinds of different things that go off in your mind. And so my goal today will be to kind of set the tone and the vision for what Raving Fans is and why it's important. But I'd like us to start just to kind of get to know each other better and break the ice. And I feel like I'm a very honest person. I feel like honesty is the best policy always. So I just want us to evaluate honestly how we came in today. All right, and I could take everyone in this room and probably put you in one of 3 categories, or you could put yourself in one. That's what I'm going to ask you to do, okay? The first one is a prisoner, okay? And you are here because Tammy sent you the email. She sent you the meeting request, and you saw the word that it was required, mandatory, everyone must attend, and you're here just because you have to be, okay? There's about 12 other things you'd rather be doing. Meetings are not your thing, and certainly meetings with strange people and strange women like myself really annoy you, okay? So, all right, that's the first place, and hey, I'm just gonna tell you any of these are fine. They're all legitimate. I take no offense at any of them, okay? All right, the next category is the vacationer. And this is a person that's much happier to be here than the prisoner because you're just glad to be away from the restaurant, okay? Someone else is doing the stocking, someone else is handling the grumpy customers, someone else is dealing with the phone calls, someone else is thinking about the catering that's going out tonight or doing the prep for the catering that's going out tomorrow. And you just get an hour to kind of just go sit and be a person, okay? So that's a vacationer. And then there's a group in here called the adventurers, all right? And you believe, you truly have the attitude that if you ever stop learning, you stop growing. And so this may not be your thing, okay? It may not be something that you have a lot of interest in, but you've come with an open mind that, hey, I'm gonna go and make the best of it, hear what this woman has to say, see what all of this mess is about, and maybe I'll learn something along the way. So what I want you to do now is just take about 5 to 8 minutes at your table, huddle up with those people, again, introduce yourself, and just be as bluntly honest as you know how. Did you come as a prisoner, vacationer, or adventurer, and why? Go.
Little bit. Being honest, I'm gonna completely discard that. I'm still very much. How long has it been? So I've that's what I I'm just here to serve. That's my job. That's my calling. Yeah, absolutely. How about knowing that it needs to be right?
Newborn baby vacationer. Y'all done over there? Y'all are people a few words. Yeah. What? Okay. All right. Has everybody had a chance? Anyone still? All right. Just by show of hands, let me see all my prisoners. Oh, y'all are so nice. Oh. He's here because he has to help his mom with the microphone, right? All right. How many vacationers? Vacationers. There we go. Jose, you deserve one. I know for sure about that. Okay. All right. How many adventurers? All right. All right. Well, my goal today is for my one prisoner. I hope that by the end of the day, my sweet son, that I have at least elevated you to a vacationer, that you enjoy your experience today. Okay? All right. And then for my vacationers, I hope that you get elevated to an adventurer and you get excited about this experience and the process and the possibilities of what it can do for you professionally and personally. Okay? And then for my adventurers, obviously, I hope not to disappoint you, but I hope to lead you on even greater adventures over the next couple of weeks, that you come out of here. And through this process, I've truly practiced what I preach, and you have become a raving fan of raving fans, and you're able to embrace it and carry it forward, again, personally and professionally. So those are my broad goals that I'm going to go over. But first of all, I want to take our common denominator in the group, Richard Witherspoon, who we all love. Let's give him a hand. We appreciate all he's done for us personally, and really all that he's done for us professionally. You got to get a mic, sorry. And I've asked him to, if he would just take a minute and explain to us why this is important to him and why he thinks it is important and could make a difference.
Well, most of you know I'm not overcomplicated. I don't complicate things too much. I'm a KISS theorist, I guess, and keep it simple, okay? But anyway, what I like and what I hope to get from this, and all of us can absorb it and put it to use in each of our restaurants, is that each and every guest that experiences and comes in contact with one of our restaurants, be it through the door, delivery, takeout, whatever, they have an extraordinary guest experience from the minute they come on our property to the minute they leave. And I think, to be honest, I think we have some metrics, we have numbers we can look at. I want to go back a long time ago, back when my dad was in the business, and he had a kind of a poster, small poster set up. I think it's put out by the Texas Restaurant Association. But anyway, why do you lose customers? Where do they go? What happens to them? Yeah. Well, naturally, 1% pass away, or that's just the population. But then, like 2% were moved away. They left town. Well, there's 3 to 4% that just went to the competition, be it for pricing or whatever. But something like 92%, and I remember this, 92% left because of attitude of indifference by that business or an employee. And so what I hope, and in looking back at the last 2, 3, 4 years, I think each of us in each of our restaurants can come in here and hard numbers tell that, hey, we need to grow. We need to grow. We need to put more people in our seats, in our dining rooms. We need our customer counts to grow. And there's got to be a way that we can keep customers and have them come back more often. And I think this program, led by Suzanne, I think it's a start and something we can live with, not only in the coming weeks, but the coming years, to build that culture within each of our restaurants, each of our businesses, that we're not going to settle anything but superior. We're going to deliver. We're going to execute. Execution wins every time. So you look at all the levels we have a chance, all the opportunities we have a chance to impress our guests as they come on our property, our restaurant, as they enter our doors. We have such an opportunity to impress them with just, hey, how clean is that front door? You know what I mean? How's that smile at that front counter? Hey, how's that dining room floor look? Just all those little things. And I hope this program encompasses not only the personality of that person, but everything that goes with it. So you bet. And then when we look at our numbers a year from now, 2 years now, we can see that steady growth, which benefits everybody. So I just think with that culture and that culture change, we can see great things. So I'm anxious to get started. I'm anxious to learn. It's something I think we've needed for a long time. We hit upon things every now and then, but we need something deep within ourselves that drives us, has that passion, to serve, hey, we're going to put out the best burger, best sandwich, best salad, So I'm all for learning whatever can get us there and please that customer. I mean, I'm all about those people coming to see us. They have a choice. Let's make sure we're first choice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you, Richard.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, and I have a guest coming in today. But what I want to tell you too, my hope for what this becomes for you is that this isn't just a place that I can tell you what it's not going to be for me and for the restaurants I'm involved in. It's not just going to be something that we do for 6 or 8 weeks. It's not a program, okay? My goal is for us to make it an experience, all right? And not just for us and our staff, but what I want this is to be for you as leaders. Because look around this room, okay? Look at the quality of people that are in here and how we can help each other. You know, one of my favorite quotes from the Rocky movie, and I use it all the time in business and in life, because I tell everybody this, I know that I'm not normal, okay? But the problem is all these other people in the world that are pretending they are, okay? You know, what is normal, right? What is normal? But the truth is we all have gaps. We all have holes. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. We all have areas where we can grow in, okay? So my favorite line from the first Rocky movie is when Rocky's brother-in-law is asking him, what is it with you and Adrian? Why? Why? He goes, it's about the gaps. It's about the gaps. And he goes, what do you mean about the gaps? He said, I got gaps. She got gaps. Together, we ain't got no gaps. Okay. And so as I look around this room, you know, I think, and Jose, y'all, I love Jose. I could not be where I am today and probably would not be. I would be absolutely out of my ever-loving mind if Jose Martinez were not in my life, okay? But I loved when I was telling Jose about this and sharing with him my vision for it. You know, one of the things he said to me, he goes, I'm so glad because I want us to be able to come together and use each other's strengths, you know, talk to each other, learn, grow from other people that have strengths, that we see other people that are strong where we want to be strong, see other people, help other people that may be not as strong in areas that we're strong in, but come along beside them. And I want this to be, for lack of a better word, a support group for each other. And one of the things that Jose said for me is, I'm so glad for this opportunity because I've wanted to talk to Bill Dixon. I've just wished that I could have an opportunity to sit down and pick his brain. And so, you know, there you go. I mean, that's, you know, this is a place where those relationships will form because let's face it, every day when we're in the trenches and we're getting caught up with the staff and with the people, you know, the food orders, the customers and everything that has to be done, a lot of times we can't see the forest for the trees. And so I want us to be those people that come alongside each other, okay, and say, hey, I can't see past this. I've got this struggle. I've got this issue with this staff member, or we've got this service issue and I can't resolve it. What kind of systems have you put in place? What have you done? And someone says, well, just take a step back and let me help you get the big picture and for us to find solutions because all of us truly are better than one of us. And so within this room, I think there's just opportunity and potential for a lot of great things to happen. So that's what I'm about. Do you see Craig up there? Okay. Hang on. I did ask him to be here at 3:15. Is he here? He is. Okay, awesome. Yes. So, hey, y'all. Okay, come on in. We got to get you mic'd up. Thanks so much for being here. Right? Yeah, we're gonna record it. Okay, so I'll introduce y'all to my friend in just a moment. But here's what I want to tell you. Mitchell, my husband, the wise one over here, has this great saying that he says, you know, the saying is experience is the best teacher. But he said that he begs to differ, that really if you can learn from someone else's experience, often that's a much better teacher if you don't have to go through some of the things you did yourself. And Raving Fans for me started, I was thinking about that this morning, 20 years ago?
Next year.
20 years ago
May,
next year.
May 2006.
Yeah. So this is Craig Roberts. Craig Roberts is an executive vice president with Guaranty Bank and Trust. And in 2003, I went to work at Guaranty Bank and their relationship banking department, and which was customer service. And Cappy Payne told me, he said, well, what I really want you to do, and I had to learn how to open new accounts. I had to learn banking, okay? I didn't really have any banking background. That was a bit of a trick. But he said, I want you to create a culture of customer service. So that was quite the challenge to start back then. But I read this book that we're going to read together called Raving Fans, and it truly did transform the way that I looked at customer service. And it was the platform that we used to launch Raving Fans at Guaranty Bank. So we started at what we called the mothership back then.
That's right.
It was the location in downtown Mount Pleasant, and we started just with the tellers and the relationship bankers. And after we finished there, the executive management team said, I want you to start at the locations. Well, thank God, literally, when I say thank God, literally, they sent me to Craig Roberts' location. He was the location president in Sulphur Springs, and that's where we started Raving Fans. Mm-hmm. And what helped me so much is Craig has been, why I'm so glad that he's here is because I just love him as a person. He's truly one of my favorite people. And my career at Guaranty Bank was probably one of my all-time sweet spots of anything I've ever done. And I tell everybody, if you cut me, I'm still going to bleed green.
I feel that.
It was great. So Craig is here today as a favor to me because there were a lot of questions when we started.
A lot of resistance.
A lot of questions, a lot of resistance.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And because just like we talked about today, there's so many things of why. So I asked him if I could just interview him and we could kind of share some of our stories back and forth, and that you could learn from some of his experience. And, you know, this is really laid back. We're real laid back. So anything you want to interject, you just feel free.
And any questions you have, I'll answer.
Yes.
Most any questions.
Yes. Okay. Did you have any doubts about Raving Fans at first? And what was your initial mindset going in?
The biggest doubt was I don't read. So I had to read a book.
I know.
So it is big print. So that's my biggest doubt was, you know, from my first thing of trying to understand what Raving Fans, first I really truly had to read a book. I make fun of that, but I was going to have to read a book to try to understand what she was trying to tell me. But because every one of us in human nature, when we think we're doing a good job, we don't need help. I've got all the education I need. I've got experience. I know to do my role. I know how to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't need you to tell me how to amplify that, I guess is the best word. So when she came to me initially, I was like, well, how am I going to get grumpy people to buy into reading this and then to be raving fans, to take this opportunity to celebrate coming to work every day?
Yeah.
So there was just a little bit of apprehension trying to figure out, okay, so we launched this plane. Are we going to build it while it's flying? Is it all ready? It's really not. And then how are we going to keep it in the air? Because, I mean, if any of you have been and all of you have been in business, running restaurants, doing other things, how do you keep it in the air?
Yeah.
What can take you out of the air? What can slow down this restaurant? What can change its course? Well, the same thing with Raving Fans. When we launched it, what negative attitude can change it? And resistance can change it. Well, those are the two things that you try to remove with this culture, with this experience. So that was the first thing for her to convince me in Sulphur Springs was how I was going to convince that staff of roughly 25 to understand why I wanted them to read a book and then why I wanted them to experience what's inside that book when there's nothing about banking in that book.
Yeah. Yeah, there is nothing about being a teller. There's nothing about approving a loan. There's
a cool thing in there about pumping gas.
That's right.
People evidently, when you pulled up, used to pump your gas at a gas station.
Remember
I didn't have that.
Does anyone in here remember that? I do.
They would pump your gas for you. That's not, no, didn't have that.
I know.
Hey, wash your windshield, check your oil, check the engine tire, check all your fluids, fill them
Yeah.
out.
You'll reminisce when you read this book.
That's right.
You'll be all right.
That's right. That's right. So what was the turning point then when you realized the value?
You know, that I think it might have been the aha moments of the staff. It wasn't really the officers. The structure of the bank in Sulphur Springs, because Mount Pleasant is the corporate office, so there's, even today, we have 500 employees. Half of them are here in Titus County. So, but think Sulphur Springs. So you take just Sulphur Springs. There were about 25 of us. So I was the lead. I had what I would call 2 assistants, and then the rest were frontline staff that were loan assistants, personal bankers, tellers. I really wasn't worried about my assistants because they're going to do what I tell them to do. I mean, well, when you think about that, I mean, if you're the leader, you run. Let's say you run this. Your generals, they have to. He or she have to know what your vision is, and they've got to execute it. Sometimes they don't agree with it, some they don't see it, but they've got to execute it. So what I was worried about was the staff.
Right.
And the moment that I saw it turning was, and we'll probably get into these things about the huddles, because the huddles were very uncomfortable in the beginning to get somebody to celebrate or stuff their mouth full of marshmallows or talk about things that they experienced in the week. But was when I saw the employees begin to connect on the Raving fans and understand why they appreciated each other. Because we started in 2006. It's a service journey, not to say guests like a hotel, but your customers are your guests, but also your department is your guest. So I have to serve my personal bankers and tellers. We'll just call them tellers. I have to serve my tellers just like my best customer. I've got to make sure they understand my passion for them. I have to make sure my customer understands. And Raving Fans gives you that opportunity for a service experience. And it was really tough to try to get that across when we very first started the meetings, because we were having celebration meetings, and then we were reading more, and then we were reading some articles and reading all the things you might see today on Google, where inspirational articles, these different things, and then how are we going to tie in products and what we do. But as she asked, when I really saw it was when I saw tellers and personal bankers connecting with each other about the huddle, about what it meant, and seeing them engage what we call that +1 attitude, where you came to my teller line and I talked to you about my company, or I talked to you about your experience, but we connected as a customer and an employee. That employee connected that employee, seeing, aha, okay, I see what we're trying to do here. We're more than just taking money and handing it back out. There's 1,000, well, actually 4,800 something banks that do that. Mm-hmm. It's more than just taking it in, handing it back out. It's when they come in, how much can I give back to them to make sure when they walk out, they want to come back. If they want to come back to me, and I will chase squirrels to turn me in.
No, you're
I
fine.
went this weekend to the San Antonio Rodeo, which I'm not a cowboy by any means, but I like rodeos. I don't know why. But I booked a hotel off the Riverwalk that I was a little concerned about, especially when I pulled up. It was kind of off the Riverwalk. It's called the Plaza Hotel, built in the 60s. They remodeled it. It's a Marriott. I'm a Marriott guy. That's Bonvoy, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I was not impressed when we pulled up. I was like, well, it's kind of hard to get to, construction. I thought it was a little close to the Riverwalk. But immediately when I got out of my car, the valet made me feel like I was home. And I was like, okay. Well, then I got my heart down a little bit when I checked in, because they don't have free coffee bar. I'm a volume coffee drinker, and every Marriott Bonvoy has free coffee. They do not. By the time I left Sunday morning, I would have paid $6 a cup for as many times as I could drink it, because they addressed me by name. They made sure my experience was right. The hotel was full, but every time I came out of the elevator, it didn't matter the role, and that's what Raving Fans is about. The front desk would talk to me, the hostess, the valet, the maintenance guy coming off the elevator was holding the elevator, asking me, is there anything to show me to? And I said, no, I'm heading to the gym. He said, you know where that is? I'd love to walk you to it. I said, that's the experience that Raving Fans kind of, as I thought about her asking me that experience right there, because now I'm ready to go back. I'm going to go back to their hotel.
And pay $6.
And pay $6 for coffee. I mean, and I did tell them I wanted a free coffee bar. They kind of smiled. But that experience is kind of what Raving Fans is when you begin to know that they wanted me there. They already had my money. They had me captive. They had my truck and valet. They wanted me there. And so that's what you have to do as an experience. And that's what Raving Fans, where our employees started connecting with each other. They would see that one teller do something, they'd see that AA do something, then they'd see that officer, my assistants, what I call them, the lenders, start doing something.
Yeah.
And that's where it connected.
And going back to those beginnings, and he was, y'all, we were rough. It was not a polished program
No.
by any means. It was, we did not have the whistles and bells.
No.
We built it as we
Right.
went. And that's why I'm always so grateful that Craig was the first place I went, because there was a lot of grace. But I think that is what I want you to understand going into this. It's not going to be perfect coming out. There's awkward moments. But I think about the same thing, you know, and Craig was young and eager, and he had a...
I'm not now.
He has a few years.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I remember his goals and talking to him about his goals and what he wanted to do in the future of Guaranty Bank and Trust, and he's accomplishing those goals. But I also remember going into another bank where Travis Malden was, who was a few years away from retirement, and you're telling someone they're going to have this meeting and it's not optional, and there was resistance. And I want to talk a little bit too here, just take from the tone at the top, because what made Raving Fans successful at Guaranty and what's going to do it here at our restaurants is because the tone at the top. This isn't, you know, me coming in here. I mean, Richard, this is what he wants, right? And this is what we want to create. But I had the backing of the top to go and say, no, we're going to do this, and every location's going to do this. And when his turning point was when he saw a teller that would hardly speak to anyone. But after the book and after doing this with the tellers, he saw this teller actively engaging with customers in conversation and creating an incredible experience for them. So that's, you know, that's where you'll see the difference. And it takes time, and it takes perseverance, and it takes going through the awkwardness, but it does make a difference.
Yeah, and there'll be peaks and valleys. It takes time. There'll be peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, and we'll get into the huddles in a little bit, I'm sure, because I do want to cover those. But,
Okay, yes, we
yeah.
will. Okay, so, and this will apply, you can get this, because with your busy schedule, you were a location president, you had, you know, loan demand, you had the demands of the staff and all that. How can implementing Raving Fans be worth the time? And how do you fit it into your daily operations? You know, how do you cram one more thing in on what you're already trying to do?
You're going to have to look past the initial implementation phase. Even your staff will be a little stressed about, how do you want me to do this? When do you want me? You're going to have to help them find time. Some are going to be slow readers. Some are going to be fast readers, but encourage them to be readers. They need to read the book and see what they're looking for. But it's, you have to, once it begins to kick off, is stay with it. There'll be awkward, quiet moments. There'll be difficult times when you're trying to figure out, how do I have time to do this? I've got to, and I mean, I know these are all restaurants, but I've got to prep the line, or I've got to get this ready, or I've got to get the dining room ready. We know that. We do this. You have to. We do that. But what really begins to catch when you have time is when they begin to start speaking to each other about it. And ours is top down. Ty Abston is our CEO. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. He's actually from Mount Pleasant. Ty is in Raving Fans today. 19 years later, he still is part of Raving Fans. And we'll talk about how that works in just a little bit from his perspective of where he's at. But you have to find the time. When you find the time, I'm looking at you. I'm just recognizing your face. But when you find the time, Brandon, you will know they will make the time, because then they'll see, and you start seeing the framework of what you'll launch. And we won't get that granular today, I don't think, about all the parameters of it. But when you begin to see the huddles begin to connect, they'll start finding time to make this work.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and talk about huddles. That's just a great springboard, because again, the goal is, if we know this, right, as we come together as leaders of our organization, for us to know it is one thing, correct? But how do we filter it down to those? And that was part of the challenge that we had at Guaranty. And what we did is we kept the theme of Raving Fans, and I'm not saying you have to call it that. I think we'll probably figure out different things. At Laura's, we share the love, you know, we call it goodness and love. We have, you know, but it's all on the same premise. But the truth is, if I take a rubber band, I have a big stack of papers, and I stretch a rubber band and put it around it. Okay, the rubber band stretches, right? And it stays, you know, it's large. Okay? If I take it off of the papers and I put it back in the drawer, next week when I pull it out, what's going to happen? Is it still going to be stretched? It's going to, okay. So the point of huddles, what they are, they're weekly meetings, okay, where we focus on doing things, implementing one thing and focusing on that one thing that's going to make us better that week. And you get your whole team focused on it. Okay, you spend about 15 minutes, and at the end of it, you ask for a commitment. Okay, in this area, how are you going to commit to be better this week? Right?
That's it.
And then they start watching each other. They start bragging on each other. I laughed. Gene Irwin came by the other day and gave me, you remember, we had these poker chips printed. Then I got in trouble for that. But we had these poker chips printed with Raving fans on it. And when you caught someone delivering great service, you gave them a little Raving, you gave them a chip.
And we had a store that they could buy in.
Yeah.
So
talk about that.
The huddles, and we've shifted ours over 20 years. We don't meet weekly now. We meet every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just because we've implemented it. Everybody knows the program and how it is. Some will do more than the every 2 weeks. But what we do is we focus on the service piece of it. We ran through our products. So like if there was a product change for us, we would run the products through the Raving fans so everybody could see that. But literally 15 minutes max. Don't go long. And you say, well, okay, well, wait a minute. I'm asking us to read this book and figure out the time. Now I'm going to figure out how once a week or once every, however y'all decide to do that. The huddles, it'll say, how am I going to get 10 minutes per week in my store and my staff to be able to focus with me and not be worried about what their duties are for the day. They will do it. It's going to take some time. It'll take months to get them to really begin to see. But you as a leader, we actually have what we call Raving fan champions. So in Silver Springs, I was not the leader. I had a Raving fan champion. They communicate with our Raving fan director, who today her name's Charity. She has a Raving fan champion in every department and location. She communicates to them, so she doesn't have to bother the Trent Abbotts and the Ty Abstons and all them. She's got a team that circumvents this or puts this through. But the biggest thing for a huddle is that's where the connectivity begins and the understanding and where you can push out your service. We try to stay away from HR and we try to stay away from dress code, and we try to stay away from the mechanical processes of the company and stay with the experience. How are we going to change the experience? Did we have a rough week last week? Did something happen? Did the weather event? Were we not prepared for the rodeo that came to town? Were we not prepared for the 16 buses that came in that the school district never let me know they were having a gymnastics event? Raving fans encapsulates all of that. It encourages your staff to let you know that, hey, I may need to shift on Saturday because my child's got a gymnastics event here at the Northeast Texas Community College. Well, somebody needs to roll in. Well, how many people are going to be out there? And those are opportunities you look for through Raving fans, and you push that service when you get into that huddle. There'll be a topic, any specific topic during the week. Right now, we're actually fixed to move into March. Ours is going to be safety and security. So we have safety and security plans that we do. So we'll use the huddles to talk about opportunities to make sure your coworkers and your customers are safe. How do we check doors? How do we open? What do we do? And then the cool thing about the huddles that we'll jump into is not every time, but let's say every other 2 weeks, but about every third event, we kind of have a game day. We're going to do something where we stuff your mouth full of marshmallows, or you'll be able to craft where you've got to take macaroni noodles and marshmallows and little tiny hot chocolate ones and build a tower and see how tall it can get. Ty Abston does those. So just like he's on a team and he's not very good at that. Don't tell me. He's a visionary. He's a visionary. But I don't think he'd be really good with Lincoln Logs. He tries to dominate the space. But yeah, I don't tell him that. But anyway, you can. But he gets involved and engaged and sees what the staff is trying to accomplish, because we have to deliver that service. Because say here in Mount Pleasant, if we don't deliver that service, American National, Vera, Pilgrim, they're going to deliver that service. They're going to have that connection with that customer that comes through, because you want this restaurant to have all the business in town, but you can't do that. But what you can do is you can begin to build that Raving fan service, and however you label the program, the one big strong thing we have is it's consistent through the company. Everything is all 34 locations. They all 34 have the same topic. They all 34 have the same experience. So managers can lean on each other. Hey, what are you going to do next week? How's that going to be done? Where's that coming from? But that huddle is truly that. It's almost like a huddle on a football field or any other sport you talk about. Football's the easiest. That's the huddle. You've got the quarterback lead that's in that deal. And when you break, you're going to perform. And you're going to perform for each other and you're going to perform for the customer. And that's the Raving fan lift that we've gotten with the +1 service. And it's just hard to explain. It's going to be rough as it gets implemented because you'll lose steam, you'll gain steam. Employee turnover is part of it. You're going to have it because they got to read the book and they got to catch up. But it's engagement, and it'll connect them to you from top to bottom. The huddle.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And don't feel like you'll be responsible for those. That'll be something that we will be working out, that it'll be just like it was there. I'll be meeting with you. And now we have technology back then.
That's right. We didn't have technology back then.
But that's why we're recording this. So when you have new people come on board, when your managers come on board, they can watch this, they can listen to that. We're going to give you the tools to lead, okay, and to help and to come alongside you and help you champion this with your people. So it's great. So, something that matters to all of us a lot is our bottom line, really, because we're all in this to make money. We all want to deliver service, but at the end of the day, we've got paychecks. So how have you seen creating a Raving fan culture impact your bottom line of your business directly?
It's absolutely in customer retention. It's not in efficiencies where we've, lowered the cash balances in vaults or lowered the number of employees or been able to, we spend money on Raving fans. We have supplies to that. It is absolutely the experience you build to where you have customer retention. Guest retention is what I call it, to where they're going to come back. So in my industry, when they come to me for a car loan, they have an experience that they want to come to me for the home loan. And for, say, this building, I come here. I brought my wife here, which is my wife loves Herschel's. And for years, and he and I met a long time ago at a church camp. Sad for, I guess, almost a decade, because the only Herschel's she knew was in her hometown of Sulphur Springs, Texas. Because after ball games, they'd get to go split a chicken finger basket in the old building, the old building that became Chicken Express or something. And she'd have to get water. She tells this story so explicitly because her parents wouldn't let them get soft drinks, had to get water, and they'd split a chicken basket. Well, when it closed, she had no idea it was from Mount Pleasant. That's only 40. She did not know Herschel's is here. So when we met, I was like, well, hey, we can go to Herschel's in Mount Pleasant. Because she was telling me about Herschel's. She goes, what? It's in Mount Pleasant? So we do come over here for a burrito that's smothered in cheese and a corn dog. I don't know if that's the thing. That's her two things. But my wife and her family.
You're on that fixed eating
No,
plan,
we do.
right?
When we're on fixed, if we come to Herschel's, we're eating. My wife loves Herschel's. It's one of her favorites. Her whole family's favorite. So, awesome. But that's the, and I forgot what the question was. I apologize. What do you want me to? Oh,
the bottom line.
That is it. You bring my wife back. You create not only a product experience, but you create that customer service experience. For me, car loan, boat loan, home loan. For you, me coming to get a burrito, bringing my wife to come back and get 2 burritos, to drink drinks, to bring people. And then where I begin my engagements, or where in my client base, I meet them at Herschel's for lunch, or one of the other many restaurants that are in the family brand. That's where you try to create that experience. And it's crazy. And you think about the marketing piece, and I don't know who did this, but so I spent a lot of time on Lake Cypress, the Cove restaurant. The menu, virtually every restaurant that's in the group's named in there. It's Joe Jack's Barbecue. There's Nardello's Pizza. It's masterful branding inside the menu. That's what Raving Fans begins to create. Is if one restaurant is promoting the other restaurant and somehow connecting to it, you've got to deliver the service for them to do the same. And they've got to, and that's what Raving Fans does. It creates a consistent customer experience. Because if the Cove or let's just say it's Nardello. Is that right, Nardello?
Yeah.
Let's go with Laura's. If Laura's is creating an experience for Herschel's, like she's adding something in there, and she's creating a knowledge where people are branding going, okay, I didn't know Herschel's was part of the family. And she gets them over here, you've got to deliver the same experience she does. And that's what Raving Fans is about. And so from the bottom line perspective, that's what it is. Yeah. You're wanting to create more volume. You have to create efficiencies. I understand that. Waste and different things in a restaurant business. But if you create more people in the door with the Raving Fan service, that's your bottom line. And we've absolutely seen it because our customer satisfaction is much higher than it used to. I will say it ebbs and flows. I can check every location and it ebbs and flows with the leadership. When my leadership changes, if they don't buy in, I can show you it ebbs and flows.
And I liked what you said about but like the home loan, the car loan, the boat loan, but also like you brought your wife in, and like you said, they come and then they bring more people. And the goal of Raving Fans is to be, when they say, well, where are we going to eat? Well, I don't know where you want to eat, but let me tell you, these are the restaurants you need to go to. You know, where you become, where they're walking billboards for you. So they bring that to the bottom line. They save you thousands of dollars in advertising, because we all know word of mouth is the best advertising, right? So and you hit on consistency. One of my favorite lines out of the Raving Fan book is consistency is critical. Consistency creates credibility. So I just want to thank you for tying that in, because that is true. If they come today and it's great, and they come next week and it's not, you know, or they have this kind of burger this day, but the next time they come and this has changed, you know, that, you know, consistency is what keeps them coming back, right? If they don't know what to expect.
It is. And from what I think Raving Fans will help with too, and I live in Sulphur Springs, so Sulphur Springs is my dining experiences mostly. And social media, I just can't really believe are super friends of the restaurant industry, because somebody's going to post, well, you know, my burger's undercooked, and without going to the restaurant, they just post a picture, say something, and then here we go, you know, and that's where I think this program, the Raving Fans experience, is where you begin to check each other and understand you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have something that's not right, you know that, but when you build the experience for the customer, the product is the product. I can get a hamburger. I can make one of those at home. But the experience, and you may think I'm crazy, but when they connect to Mitchell, when they connect to Richard, when they connect to Susan, when they connect to you, that's where they want to go. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to have a salad, I go to see Suzanne. I have to think twice what the name of the restaurant is, but I go see Suzanne. That's where I go. That's what this program's going to do. So when you do have a bad day, that customer's not going to remember it. They're going to remember all the good ones. I joked with somebody the other day, and I'm not a great math whiz, but I've basically been at the bank half my life, like literally almost half my life. And so I've had basically a little over 9,800 sunrises to make a difference out of 19,600.
Wow.
So I've always put it days, not years, because years sound horrible.
I know.
But, so I'm shooting for 10,000 days coming up in May. I have 10,000 days at the bank.
That's
but
awesome.
It's those opportunities when you get up. I have a bad day. You're going to have a bad day. Your team's going to have a bad day. Somebody's not going to show up. Worse than that, somebody's going to show up in a bad mood. Sometimes I'd rather them not show up if they're just going to be in a bad mood. But that to where, and we're getting away from the bottom line a little bit, but is the consistency piece of you're going to deliver that service every day. I'm going to come to you no matter what. I mean, I'm going to come to you no matter what. And when I get that service, I mean, I'm sitting here. I'll use you. Here we go. So I go to Laura's 3 times in the last 2 weeks, probably, because I had a person from College Station come in. I can't remember who. I had 3 different people come in that hadn't been in town. We'll go over to eat. The potato soup there is fantastic. It's my favorite. I'm not a soup guy, so I like the potato soup. Well, I branched out because everybody was walking out with the what's it called? Tortilla soup. Because there was a lot of people buying it. It was, okay, spot on. You like that? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I know.
I didn't like that. Wasn't my thing. My potato soup was my thing. But I ate a few bites of it, and it was good. I ate my sandwich, and I was happy. She comes by to pick up my plates and everything, and first thing she notices is my tortilla soup's about that low from the top, not from the bottom, from the top. She goes, something wrong? I said, no, I guarantee it's fantastic, just not my thing. She was wanting to put a to-go potato soup together for me to take home. Or if I had time, she was going to bring me a potato soup then. That doesn't help your bottom line, I'm telling you. But just by her offering that and me refusing that, and I know she knows me, we got a 20-year relationship, but she does that to everybody in that building, which I'm sure each of you do. When you do that to me, I'm back. I'm coming back. And I'm going to try to experience and expand my palate, because there's going to be things that I can tell people about. And so that's kind of just one example of how this Raving fans culture, you may think, we thought we had it. Guaranty's Guaranty. We thought we had everything. We're Guaranty. But that's not how it is today with social media, with opportunities, with outlets. How many restaurants have opened in this tenure? How many people have seen restaurants open and close?
And still coming.
And the one thing you can offer is the service, and that's what Raving Fans is. It's the service experience. We do talk about products. We offer different products all the time. We'll change checking accounts. We'll change this and that, online things, digital things, all kinds of things. But it's the service and the experience, because if you get the experience and the service down consistently, I really don't even know the brand I'm walking into, because I'm walking into Richard's family. I'm walking into the group of what y'all built, and it's going to be the same wherever I go.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit now about what you called your Raving Fans Champion, your leaders that help. Because as you know, honestly, most leaders, I've already confessed, I'm not normal, I'm a little odd. That's really not in our wheelhouse,
Right.
To get down and to get silly and to nurture and bring people along. How did you identify the people within your organization that had those qualities, and how did you come alongside them to build them up and give them the courage? Because really they're leading their peers is what you're asking them to do.
That's what you're asking them to do, is to lead. And some of you in this room will be the Raving Fan Champion. You'll want to be. You'll have to be involved when it first launches, without a doubt. And I don't, again, she'll get in the framework of how y'all launch. But the Raving Fan Champion is critical, because they stay in communication with the consistent messages that's going to be delivered. Because as leaders, and that's this group, there are things you have to do that probably most of your workers don't think you do anything at all, that you just walk around, or you're gone all the time, or you're outside unloading the truck. You're really not working. But you really are, because you're building strategy, you're building vision, you're trying to look at the afternoon when it's the morning, you're trying to look at tomorrow when it's today. Those are the things. So you being a Raving Fan Champion long-term probably won't work. So you'll need to identify one. And the easiest way to do that is you don't identify them. They will identify themselves. Now, you may have to pick some to start with. You may have to lean on assistants, that right hands, different people to help get it started, to work it through. But you will see the ones that connect to this quickly that will be a Raving Fan Champion. And they'll begin to seek out people. And they'll begin to see what other team members are and do little things for them. I mean, little things inside your system that make them feel recognized. One of the craziest things that connects inside our company, I don't know if y'all have email, but anyway, we have email. Before that, we had write cards when this started. It was weird. But we have Raving Fan emails. So if anybody on my downline, anybody on my team gets a Raving Fan mail, I'm copied. So Billy will send a Raving Fan mail to Susie. Oh my gosh, Eric called in. He was so upset. I didn't know how to fix it. You jumped in. You helped me. Awesome. I appreciate you. We take all those mails quarterly. We put them in drawings and we give away prizes, but we read some of them. But the boss sees every one of them. And I get a Raving Fan mail. I mean, I'll see them and Ty's copied. And I don't think he believes them, but Ty's copied. He sees them. But it is a way to be able to connect where you tell them that they helped you grow this brand, that they helped you entice the customer experience and how to build that. And for me, the connectivity of that piece of the Raving Fan mail, I mean, I send them. We got executives that send them. That sounds crazy, but that's where your Raving Fan Champion will know. They'll be self-identified, but they're going to see when somebody does something great. There's a young man out here. I can go point him out to you. He's tall, skinny, dark hair, a Korean veteran, left a while ago. He's in glasses, has a crutch on one arm. His wife is on a walker as well. He completely tried to talk her out of the $1 tip that he gave her as she was leaving out, that she gave him as he's leaving out, because he helped them carry their stuff to the table. And I mean, he sat there and tried to talk them out of it. But she was so moved by him. You could tell they'd met before. Drives a Lincoln Nautilus. Y'all gonna figure out who those are. But anyway, the man went out and she's like, I know I don't have to, but I want to. And when he walked out, he looked right at me because I was sitting waiting because I was supposed to be at 3:10. And he said, man, I don't want him to do that. I just try to tell him not to do that. And I said, look, man, you're not trying to get the tip. You earned it.
Yeah.
And when you begin to build on that type of service, rewards come. He didn't want that tip. He really didn't. I mean, I really saw it in his eyes. I don't know who he was. He didn't want that. But she was persistent. But it's because of the experience. What can your coworker do for you? And what can you and your coworker do for the customer to make sure I come back in those doors? And that's the big key. I mean, and so you can see these anywhere. I was here 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really anything complicated. It just takes commitment.
And learning to look for it.
Learning to look for it. And your Raving fan champions will look for it. You'll find your champions. They'll find it. You'll know. Hey, I recognize you too. Hey, you my crouton guy. hey. I like croutons, as y'all can tell.
Okay, I have just one more question,
Sure,
and then I want to open it up for them to ask questions.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest rewards for me and my time at Guaranty were the relationships that I built through Raving fans and with those champions. And you know, we talked about starting in Sulphur Springs, and really it came back. One of the things that I'm most grateful for Craig for is having the courage to pull me aside and say, look, you're asking my people to do this. But the experience that we get when we call the credit department, or the experience that we get when we call the operations center, we're not feeling this. So how am I supposed to make these people do this when it's not coming to them? And that was the first, I remember sitting in Ty Apston's office with Cappy Payne being there. That was the CEO and the CFO. And I'm nothing. Y'all, I'm nothing. I'm just this little peon that they got going out to get scratched up doing this stuff. And I said, look, I just want you to know that this is what I'm hearing. And they said, as soon as you get done at the locations, you come back here. And we're doing it full-blown in-house. And the credit department's going to do it. The operations center is going to do it. And that's how it affected our culture. No one was immune from it.
Exactly.
When everyone was hired at the bank back in the day, you can hardly get these now, but everybody got this book at their, when they met with HR the first day.
Still do.
They got a book.
Okay. We got away from it because they were hard to find, but we're the reason they're hard to find because we buy them every we buy them in bulk. We might be able to loan you some. You know,
they had to read it before new hire orientation, and everyone at new hire orientation went through the book. But,
how many of you ordered already?
All those back there.
20. How many you need?
We don't know. We're
258.
Let me see how many I can gather up. We'll make a gift to you guys. Don't share that. We'll make a gift to you guys because we have an inventory. I'll talk to Charity, and we also have a place that we've been finding them. So we'll help y'all find them in bulk, and we'll see. Awesome. And I'll actually see if Charity can place an order to help y'all with a bigger discount too, because it is important. It's good. I mean, it's a so. What's your question?
But what became so important to me was hearing. What I loved was leading those champions and the relationships that I built with them. And honestly, I was so blessed to hear how it changed their lives. I mean, there were people that would come to me and go, you know, this has helped me with my service. But Suzanne, it's changed my marriage. It's changed our house. And I was just like, what? So that's my on-the-spot question to you. If you had to look back over the last 20 years of Raving fans and making it part of the culture professionally, how has it affected you personally, if it has?
Yeah, absolutely it has. I mean, it is. You have to look at what type of attitude when you come to work in the morning. You've had a bad day, and already before you got there, and if my teammate or my peer has the same attitude, we're both in trouble. The restaurant, that day is sunk. If the first two people that meet don't want to be there, none of your customers are going to want to be there. And that's, I mean, that happens. And so for me personally, how it helped is to begin, like I said, those 9,808 today sunrises that I've experienced at the bank. Now, that includes the weekends, but those are sunrise opportunities that I get to think about the bank and balance with my personal life. But I get to think about what can we do to be better. I never say what can we do to change. You obviously have to change daily, but it's what can I do to make the experience better for the staff that's there. They're not getting along. Digital banking's not getting along with loan department or what they are. But for me personally, how it took me out in the public is I'm not shy. I'm more like Suzanne, but I think it helped me balance the piece of where I could take work out back home and where I could take home back to work. And I could see that piece of you're serving everybody wherever you go. It doesn't matter if you want to talk about that from a spiritual, non-spiritual, different part of you're serving. What you're doing in life is serving. Now, a big part of that's making money. You're going to make money so you can keep going serving people.
That's right.
And so for me personally, it just changed my outlook on work. It's that I have to be there for you. I'm not just there for me. I need you to support me. And you'll have a lot of those employees. They need a lot. They need you to support them. They need you to work their schedule. They need you to help them with their deal. They need you. But how many of them are givers? And that's what I think Raving Fans does and allows me to take that out into the community the same way, but back home personally. But it just tells me that I'm going to be able to give to you when we get to work. When you need something and I need something, we can balance that out and we can experience with each other. So it's a tremendous task to implement this. It was not easy 20 years ago to do that. We've had 3 leaders. We've had Suzanne Walker, we've had Karen Wall, and we now have Charity Burkhart. I thought about bringing her today, but she'd be hanging from the walls in here. She is wound up. So if she stays wound up, Raving Fans can be excitable, should be. We've done the Olympics. We're about to start March Madness. That's outside your huddles, but we're doing March Madness and competitions, and we'll give prizes, not big, they're not crazy
but all
prizes.
of that
but
helps create. It
Oh,
gives you
it
buy-in.
just-
Anything that you do like that, it buys in. They buy
That's
into
right.
the culture, and they buy in to the family. It's bonding.
You will see your turnover slow down. It's crazy, but you'll begin to see your turnover slow down because I don't know if y'all swap between restaurants or anything, people or supplies or whatever, how those start connecting. You're going to start seeing when you run a consistent program, and let's just call it Raving Fans Crossover deal,
that's fine.
is if one restaurant needs something that you can supply to the way we do locations, if one location needs something and the other location helps them, Raving fan mails start flying. So those supervisors see it, and the leadership management sees it. They see they see that connectivity. So then it's not only about them, it's how am I helping the system be successful? And to me, that is kind of what you're looking at here with multiple restaurants is you're still just one, a lot of different names, a lot of different brands, but you still have to understand that if one's successful, two's successful, we need them all to be successful. And so that's where I think Raving Fan, and it takes a little while to get launched. It'll take some buy-in. You're going to have some places that need help coming in. Heck, I'll come help. I'll lead a Raving Fan huddle for you. I will. You can get that belief and you can get that connectivity for it. And when you get that connectivity, it's obvious. You don't have to search for it. You're going to see it. And because service is the only goal you can have. We're launching a new. I don't tell y'all. I mean, I'll tell y'all, but some of y'all bank with Guaranty, don't raise your hands. It's a privacy thing. But you may actually get a survey email. So if you go to like Elliott or Tolliver or Sandlin, when you get a service there, they may send you an email. How is our service? You see 0 through 10. You're going to start getting a little bit of something from us on that on certain transactions because what we're looking for is how do we continue to build our brand? How do we service you better? Now, you may delete that email and not even look at it. But we're looking for is experiences, not just the bad ones. We're looking at if you came through the drive-thru and you had an excellent experience with so-and-so, I'm looking for a rising star. I'm able to identify, okay, I had a great day today with Suzanne. She helped me all right, she had a good day. She may not be the greatest employee, but she had a good day. So I'm going to try to figure that out. I mean, like being serious. You may think, oh my God, they're late to work every day. They leave early. But then you're looking for what you can build on the momentum. And so those type things are what Raving Fans can launch into because it's pure service. If people don't want to work with Guaranty right there at 100 West Arkansas, then I've got to find out why. I need them to understand who Courtney is and Gloria is and Trent and Jay and Robin and all those people you already know, how they interact with the community and what they do. And because everybody can, I mean, he's probably well known in town. A couple of people know you here, I guess, in town.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily extrapolate into he can do it all by himself. He can't do it all by himself. He needs a team, and that's what Raving Fans is. Everybody knows who Art Sharlock is, because I still see him every week, but was at Guaranty. He still tells me what to do, by the way. The guy retired in 06. He comes in and sits down in my office and starts telling me, you need to do this, you need to do this. I'm like, come on, man.
I know.
But for him, he needed a team to run that. And that's where Raving Fans, to me, creates the consistency, builds the credibility, but most importantly, builds the retention. You have everything I need, which is food. You just have to connect that service piece to it, that I'll remember the service as much as I'll remember the food. And that's what makes a consistent day. You're not always going to make the same hamburger. I'm not always going to make the same boat loan. Rates going to change. Rates are going to go up. Terms are going to get shorter. Values are going to change. Same thing here. My burrito, my smothered burrito. It's not. You hope it's going to be 98% the same. If you get your service to be 98% the same with experience, those two will always carry each other, and it's a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's what you need. When service is going up, food's going up, the same thing. So that experience, I'm back. I'm Plaza Hotel in San Antonio. If y'all get a chance, Plaza Hotel. It's not.
There's your billboard.
I'm telling you, it is. When you try, you're gonna be like, oh, what has this guy done? It is. I mean, it was just a fantastic experience.
That's awesome.
And not a great hotel. It was great. It was good. But boy, let me tell you, I'll be back. That's where I'll stay. That's where I'll stay next time. And that's what you want.
That's right.
Build experience. I'll answer any questions.
I know.
Yes, they were very nice. They actually had an outdoor courtyard that was really cool. They had a spa, they had a workout facility, a swimming pool. It was a very, very nice hotel. But you think when you go to a city like that and what you have to pay for that experience, I mean, it was $76 to park my car.
Wow.
I mean, and they didn't have free coffee.
I
know, but that's the thing is, I was there 2 nights. And Saturday morning, I drank enough coffee and walked around because my wife, she doesn't do single digits, like 7 a.m., 9 a.m. She's more of a double digit person. So I've got a lot of time on my hands. I went to the Alamo, went to the Riverwalk, went and worked out. I had a lot of time before my wife got up. But by Sunday morning, one morning, they weren't the same exact staff. There were some of them. They already knew my habit because I'd wait at the bar for them to give me coffee because I wasn't eating. There was a bar. You had to pay for it. You pay for it right there, and that's what you do. So I did that Saturday morning a few times, and I got my wife one, took one up. So say 3 times I did that. Sunday morning, there was more people there. I didn't wait. The hostess is like, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to get some coffee. And she goes, oh, I got you. And she just mowed around back inside the bar because it's straight black. She knew, or I just straight put the cap on, put the deal, walked right over, and I handed her a $5 bill, and that's what she paid for, and she left. I never had to wait. They knew my habit. They knew my experience. Like y'all will know when they come in the restaurant what people's experience, what they're looking for, what their preferences are. And so that's, to me, the amenities were good. The service was exceptional. I mean, that's what just blew me away. So
I want to open it up. You take some questions.
Anybody.
All right. Who's got a question?
Don't be shy. Y'all shy.
I know. Or shy.
Well, it's an unknown. Go ahead.
I do have a question. So when you're dealing, for instance, in the restaurant business, we have multiple shifts, multiple, I guess, age groups where if you have high school kids, they don't work certain times of the day. With these huddles, and we have written these in the past in some of the other restaurants that I've been part of, we call them pre-shifts. I mean, I think that those would be done in any restaurant, really. You have your AM shift, your PM shift. Are you saying that in order to hit all of them, or are you saying, no, this is mandatory like this, and you have to have all your staff there?
No, you're going to have to work that out. My recommendation would be don't be forceful. So you don't want to bring staff in that's not working to have the huddle. So you got to figure out how to do the huddle. And for your Raving fan huddle person, They may end up having to do 2 in a day on the AM PM
Right.
shift or shift around. Watch your schedule. Whoever your Raving fan, whoever your leader is, the manager, you guys may know it, but whoever's, they look at the schedule and they try to catch as many people as they can that are in there, because you may have some high school kids that are going, especially that are going to be very difficult to get in. Typically, they have energy. What they lack is positive attitude sometimes. And I'm not picking on kids. I've got them, but you can catch them with bad days quicker. So you've got to watch them inside the culture of the program. So you want to catch them every once in a while. So if you had to bring somebody in a half hour early or something, or try to do that, but your huddle needs to be consistent in theme, service, and understanding. It's best if it's 1 day a week, just because everybody knows it's Tuesday morning at 8:15 or Tuesday morning, whatever. But you're right. You're going to be shift oriented. So you've got if you're open at 7 a.m. and you're open at 9 p.m., you can't catch everybody. So you're going to have to figure that piece out to where you can catch the most. And then the next week you catch different ones. So you may actually have to have a champion here. And let's just use this one. What time is this restaurant open? 6:30 in the morning, and they close at 10. So the Raving fan leader here, which can be a little bit extra work, may have to do, if it's once a week, they may have to do 2 huddles in a week. They're going to have to look at the schedule and see where they can catch 80% of the employees, 80% of the employees or 70% or not. But I'm like, I wouldn't bring them in, because then they feel like it's a really forced thing. It'd be great, but that, you don't want to wake up a bunch of high school kids to come in at 6:30 in the morning, but you'll find that time. And then you got to ask yourself, you're open. So how do you have these huddles when customers are in the building? Mm-hmm. That's a challenge for you guys. You're going to have to figure that piece out. And we've broken up huddles where we'll have 2 separate huddles in the same location with the same message. So it just depends on how that works and what it does. But again, 10 minutes is 15 is a max, 10's an appropriate. And we just have to figure out that. I'll actually think about that, and I'll reach out to you how to actually make that structure, because we have to do the same. We have part-time tellers that don't come in until the evening, so we've got to catch them. But what you'll find, if you catch 80%, the other 20% will understand what the vision is.
If it becomes your culture, and if it becomes your language. And, with technology, there are things that we can do. We can record videos. We can send those out through.
We do recordings and let them watch them. I mean, we do that. We let them watch recordings and different things.
And then, again, what becomes the important thing is once they hear the message or the focus or the huddle of the week, are you hearing them talk about it during the week? That's what you have to, you've got to have a time where they can engage enough to get the message and understand the message and the challenge to implement it. And then you measure the implementation, how they're doing that week.
And it's recognition. When you see them implementing that huddle, that service, that topic, that week, that focus, what lever are we working on this week? What are you can look at it in any industry, from education to restaurant to banks. What levers are we trying to focus on today? And then when you see that connectivity, that performance, when they actually execute that lever, that's when you strike. You don't wait till the end of the week and say, I saw somebody Tuesday, I saw somebody else. You just walk up to them and say, that's it. The other employee will see you do that.
Yes.
That's the part you're looking for. And I go back to when I very first opened this up. I was really good at what I did before Raving Fans. That's what we all think. I mean, why would I need Raving Fans? When did Herschel's open?
I hear 78.
78, when he was in middle school.
I know.
But when you think about that, seriously, what do you need this for? That's your biggest question is, what do you need this for? And it's because consistent service is something that's it's just not where it used to be in 78. There's too many environmental focuses. When I say environment, I'm talking about your personal headspace, social media, ads, negativity. I mean, anything you do, social function, you're fighting for space in somebody's head, and that experience is the one that takes up the least space that they'll remember the most. You got to think about the best experience you ever had. I don't care whatever your hobby is. I mean, if it's golf, the best experience you ever had, you never lose that memory. And it takes up the tiniest space. What's in your head is, what have I got to do today? What's right in front of me? What's going wrong? What's not right? What's not right with my kids? What's not right with my house? My plumbing line backed up when it was snowing. That's me.
I know.
I mean, those things. But the experience memories are what they're looking for. So for me, when I very first started this, is like, I thought I was good before I did this. All this did was provide stability inside my service delivery that I could share mine, which is this room, that I could share mine with my team and make sure they want to come to work every day. They want to serve the people we serve. They want to serve the product I have, and they want to believe in it. And that to me is what kind of Raving Fans does. And that book is, man, there's really some straightforward examples inside that book of just small things that just make a difference, that will make you have an experience. You can look at from a restaurant to a hotel to a bank. What experience have you had? You had bad experience going in a bank? I'm certain. We have bad experiences in our bank every day. We have a complaint log that you can email us a complaint anytime you want. We get them every day, and we take every single one of them seriously. The best complaint I got in 2024 was we have a bad ATM in a market, and this guy, that's the only way he can get money is that ATM, and he has to drive way away to get it because he gets it after dark. He gets off of shift work, and he sends a complaint, and he'll say stuff. I love you guys, but can you not get your ATM to work? I got it, and so we'll refund fees to use another ATM or drive over. And like the third time he had to complain, he goes, okay, you got it. You're absolutely down more than the McDonald's ice cream machine.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Ouch.
He is getting a new ATM. It'll be installed in March. We're getting a new ATM. But you have to get that experience when you get that experience back. He didn't give up on us because her name's Claudia. She kept reaching out to him. She's like, what can I do? I'll bring money to your work. I'll drop it off to you. If you need to use an ATM somewhere else, we're going to give you the fees back. We're going to get this fixed. We're at a mercy of trying to get technology fixed. He'll never leave us. He complains, but he's like, hey, but that experience that Claudia's connected with him kept him coming. So that's the huddle piece, though. You'll just have to shift and work. No pun intended. You'll have to work through that shift piece to catch 80% of your staff.
And that's what we'll figure out together. That's why
Yeah.
we're all here together, because we'll all have different experiences with it. We'll try something here. Someone will say, well, this didn't work for us. And someone will say, well, we did that same thing. It didn't work, but we did this and it worked. And that's why we're going to do this together.
And again, there's going to be valleys. You'll see. It's not. It takes a little bit of time for people to get used to. But I truly, our folks, you probably have some that begrudgingly go to the huddles, but 99% of the people, they like it because number one, it's informative. It's what are we trying to target? What are we trying to do? And I think it's changed us. I no doubt. It's changed our culture.
Yeah.
Our buy-in.
Well, and just to thought on that too, you said something about videos. I think most of us here are using the scheduling app.
Yeah, I think there's enough technology between all the different things that we use that we ought to be able to figure out how to push out a video that would take some pressure off of y'all too, but that you could still watch with your staff, encourage them with it.
And we do give incentives, awards. I mean, we did the Olympics and we gave medals. We actually had medals made and stuff. But, the winning teams, they did videos, and the winning teams, they got real prizes. I mean, but we don't do that all the time. We try to do them. March Madness, we're going to give away a gaming station, but we're not going to choose it. We're going to let them choose it, like Xbox, whatever. And they'll be stoked and excited. So we might do that 2 or 3 times a year, but it gets them to buy in to understand that there's a reward to that. You got a reward. It's training and reward. It's that's what it is. And so we'll have those experiences, and they'll go out of their way to try to experience what you're trying to give to the customer. And then that's when they bring their family in. That's when they bring their friends in. That's what you got to have. So, but we're March Madness. I'll let you know how it goes. We're going to figure out how that works. And Olympics was quite something else. We told them to do videos, and they could make a video, and it was and then everybody voted on it. There was teams that voted on it, and Commerce, Texas, I think, is who won. But they had an Olympian.
Oh,
like
wow.
a guy that was really shot putter. He was from Commerce.
No.
He was A&M Commerce. So they're interviewing him in the video. It's like, come on, seriously, that's you're ineligible.
And they take those things seriously.
They do. So,
one of my worst memories of Raving Fans that I try to forget was we were doing like in a summer Olympic Games, and they were having sack races on the second floor of the bank down the hall, and Yeah.
We don't.
Someone fell, took it a little too seriously, reached up, dislocated a finger.
Yeah, we
had to go to
don't.
the hospittal.
I,
Had
I will say that
surgery.
we
I was
stopped.
in the CFO office over that.
We've discontinued those. We a broken ankle. We had a broken wrist.
They get serious.
We
good.
Y'all know Martin Bell? Martin Bell lives in Mount Pleasant. So Martin's the boss in Sulphur Springs. I was his assistant. And we're playing spoons. And Jerry, at that time, was older and mean. I mean, she'd knock you out of the chair, and she was about that tall, and she'd been retired 15 years, but still worked. And then Jesse. And it was down to Jerry and Jesse. And I told Martin, I said, both of them, Jesse's competitive, Jerry's mean. I said, let's see how this goes. So there's one spoon, so they're doing those card things. And the next thing I know, it's time to grab the spoon. It's a wooden table in the lobby that customers sit at. It's before hours. Jesse dives for the spoon and goes across the table and hits the floor. 8 months pregnant. I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? She bounced up and went, I got the spoon. I'm like, oh my God. So no more spoons. Spoons are out. Jesse Gibbons, still a friend of mine till this day. So yeah, you have to limit the games. You've got to make sure you tamp down the games, make sure somebody doesn't get hurt. So we try to keep them like marshmallows and balloon building contests. And, we do Jeopardy and we'll do Family Feud and all those kind of things. So because that's what really builds them. They really do love it. And so y'all will have a little bit, and I don't know, a challenge because see, we get to do it before we open the doors, and that's going to be really kind of a challenge you guys are going to have to figure through. And she'll help you figure that out. We'll figure that piece of it out. So other questions? I don't want to take up all your time. I apologize.
That's okay.
We're good.
Anybody else have anything else?
I'll help anytime. We'll help anytime. And we will. I'll get with Charity. Send me an email. I'll get with Charity and see how many books we have in inventory. Okay. We get a book to everyone that onboards. When they onboard, they get a book. So we used to do a checkout library, which that's an option too. I don't know. We have the old school library cards. We did that for a while when we couldn't get the books.
Yes.
You would check it out. So you'd sign it and you'd check it out and put it back in the restaurant library, and then you could send it back and whatever, share it. So.
Have you ever experienced any turnover through like the integration, like at a new branch or new location, where you just didn't have the buy-in, and therefore it wasn't a culture fit, and so you had to move on to certain people that you could then replace? They could be inspired by the overwhelming culture that existed as a result of it.
It's a very good question. Yes, and you're filming this, so.
It's okay. I know.
We expanded, and I would probably have to liken it because it's been there since '78. It's probably the oldest restaurant in the group. Mm-hmm. And you begin to acquire different brands as they come in, and you open into different brands. Those brands may have specific cultural things they want done. And so, yes, as we've expanded from Mount Pleasant to now, Houston, Austin, Georgetown, Bryan College Station, Fort Worth, Denton, we have run into cultural shift differences where they didn't understand the service piece that we're wanting. But they also were in different markets. And I will tell you, we faced some challenges because we tried to say, here it is, one way. And we didn't get the feedback. We didn't listen. We were like, yes, it's awesome. It's awesome. Let's go do this. And we didn't really listen to that new restaurant that came on or that new location that came on. And they were serving a totally different customer. They were serving a totally different personality. They don't have people coming in for cars and boat loans. We have locations that have never done a car or boat loan.
And that's the key to Raving Fans. So knowing what's meaningful to that customer.
You've got to know who they are and what they're coming in to eat. What are they coming in? Why are they coming in? It's not only about the meal they're fixing to have or the food they're going to buy, the product. Why are they coming in? Because it's not, sometimes it is run through a restaurant, drive through, grab some food and run home, feed the kids. It's not always that way. When people generally walk into something, there's a reason, not only the product, but there's a reason they came there. And for Guaranty, we had to begin to listen because we were Northeast Texas. Who wants to live anywhere but Northeast Texas? Come on, give me a break.
Right.
So, but we had to adapt. So we did see some resistance in the beginning of the Raving Fans of understanding it. But then when we really started looking at ourselves, they were doing it a little bit different, but with the same message. And I think that strengthened what we did a across the company that filtered back to here. It's kind of that you got to be careful. You don't just force everything. You got to listen to what that is, especially when in this case where you onboard a new brand. If you were going to onboard something different or try a new style restaurant or something, you've got different. Everybody's going to be different. The wait staff's going to be different. If there's a wait staff, the cook lines, the service lines, the drive-through lines. If there's not drive-through lines, entertainment. Throw entertainment in that changes everything. Yeah. I mean, you put a good band on there, they're only drinking. You got to either raise those prices or get the table to turn. Because if you don't get the table to turn, your waitress doesn't make money. The waitress doesn't make money, she doesn't come back. So those are things that you look at and you say, okay, how does this help? And you're right. That was a perfect question. We've implemented it and it wasn't received and we've seen staff turnover. I would say on the record, we've probably had some turnover that we should have noticed first that, hey, it's just a different way of looking at it. And when you see that piece, you understand that service can be multifaceted. It's not a straight line. It's got many faces.
That's a really good word right there.
So, yeah, it's been a challenge. Houston's different than Mount Pleasant.
Really?
Yeah, just a little. It's a smidge different. Yeah. So it's taken. Crazy thing is, Bryan College Station is just like Mount Pleasant. Denton, just like Mount Pleasant. Dallas, not like Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Dallas, no. Austin, I can't even find my way around down there. But Georgetown, Georgetown's got to close. Austin, it's hard for me to find my way around down there. I can't even. They change the street signs every day. So.
At least Austin knows Florida cheesesteak.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, I've taken more of your time. It's 4:22. So
any more questions before we let Craig go? Craig, I can't thank you enough. This means so much that you would come and share your afternoon.
We'll help anytime. We'll help anytime.
We do have just a little bitty.
No,
thank you.
You have to do that. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Anytime. Good to see you, brother. You bet. Anytime. Good to see you, man. Crouton guy.
Crouton guy.
Man, I'm telling you, he knows. When I have salad, I want a little bit of salad. I want a little bit of salad and a whole lot of croutons.
That's gonna sound good.
Bye, Craig. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So thank y'all so much for your time and for being here. And I hope that just gave you a little bit of insight and a little bit of hope, okay, of what's ahead and how we can do this and that we're going to do it together. So today we have a book for everyone back there, everyone that's here. Please feel free to take a book. And what we're going to be discussing next week, I do want you to know it's not going to be the talking head at the front of the room every week. We're going to be very interactive. You're going to work together. We're going to walk through this process together. I will lead it, but you are going to be facilitating as well. So for next week, we'll be back here next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Between now and then, if you'll pick up your copy of Raving Fans, and you can start at the preface, and I need you, please, if you would, to have the most meaningful time next week. If you'll read through page 40, the first paragraph of page 48. Okay, so the preface through page 48, paragraph 1. All right. Any questions before we go? You can go ahead and stop that. Thank you.